Welcome to MedDecode. For decades, the public health message was, pretty straightforward.
It was very clear.
Quit smoking, because the fire, the combustion, the tar, all that stuff will give you lung cancer. It was a war on burning tobacco.
And for a while, that war worked. We saw smoking rates drop, especially in the developed world. People really got the link between cigarettes and, respiratory disease.
But the industry didn't just pack up and go home. Instead, they pulled off one of the biggest pivots I think I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely.
Now we're just flooded with this whole new landscape of products. You got vapes, heated tobacco sticks, these little oral nicotine pouches.
And they're all marketed under this very seductive idea of harm reduction.
The safer alternative.
Exactly. But if you connect this to the bigger picture, this whole rebranding is threatening to undo decades of progress. I mean, we're still looking at 7.7 million deaths annually from tobacco use.
That's a staggering number.
It is. It's the third leading global risk factor for death. Only high blood pressure and air pollution are worse.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our deep dive today is centered on this landmark 2025 expert consensus from the European Heart Channel.
Oh, really critical paper.
And it completely changes the focus. It's not about the fire anymore, it's about the fuel. The central, and I have to say, pretty shocking takeaway is this. Nicotine itself is a direct, potent cardiovascular toxin.
Right. The addictive molecule is the poison. It doesn't matter how you get it into your body.
So this whole time we were worried about our lungs, and maybe we should have been just as worried about our hearts.
You should have been. This isn't just an update. It's a total shift in thinking. For too long, the idea was that nicotine was just addictive, but kind of benign as long as you took the smoke out of the equation.
Yeah.
This consensus proves that's just not true. Nicotine alone is what drives heart attacks, strokes, and that fundamental damage to your blood vessels.
So we're not just fighting smoking, we're fighting nicotine addiction. And it's coming in dozens of new, stylish, and accessible forms.
That's the new battleground.
All right, so let's get into the science. Here's where it gets really interesting for me. How can nicotine be toxic if I'm just inhaling what looks like, strawberry-flavored air?
Right. It's not the smoke particles doing the damage, so it has to be something much deeper, more primal.
Yeah.
The core mechanism is that nicotine is what we call a powerful sympathomimetic.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Sympathomimetic. What does that actually mean?
It's just a clinical way of saying it hijacks your body's stress response.
So like my fight or flight system.
Precisely. It's like your body has an adrenaline panic button and nicotine just holds it down constantly.
Oh. Yeah.
It binds to these specific receptors and forces the release of catecholamines, things like adrenaline and norepinephrine.
And what does that do to you physically in that moment?
Immediately you get an increased heart rate, your cardiac output spikes, and this is crucial peripheral vasoconstriction.
Vasoconstriction. So my blood vessels are literally tightening up.
They are clamping down. And that, of course, raises your blood pressure. Your heart has to work so much harder to pump blood through these tighter pipes. Its own oxygen demand goes way up.
And doing that over and over again every day.
That leads to chronic hypertension and arrhythmias. It's just mechanical stress day in and day out.
But the sources say the real sort of insidious damage is happening on a microscopic level. They call it the vascular red flag.
That's it. And that red flag is endothelial dysfunction.
Okay.
You have to picture the endothelium. It's this super thin, really delicate, single layer of cells that lines every single blood vessel in your body. It's the gatekeeper of your cardiovascular health.
And nicotine messes with it.
It impairs it, and fast. Doesn't matter if it's smoked or vaped. The damage starts almost immediately.
So when it's healthy, what is that lining supposed to be doing for me?
When it's working right, it produces nitric oxide, or NO. Think of NO as your artery's own natural chill pill. It tells the muscle around the vessel to relax, to open up, which keeps your blood flow smooth and flexible.
So what happens when nicotine hits the system?
Nicotine causes intense oxidative stress, and this leads to something called ENO-S uncoupling.
Right, the dysfunction.
Exactly. That enzyme, ENO-S, is supposed to make the good stuff, the nitric oxide. But when it gets uncoupled, it goes rogue. It stops producing the protective NO and starts churning out these really destructive molecules instead.
So the system that's supposed to protect me starts poisoning me from the inside out.
That is a perfect way to put it. It's a total functional breakdown. And that endothelial damage, that's the first critical step toward atherosclerosis, the hardening of your arteries,
Which then leads to clots.
which leads to thrombosis or clots. And that is the direct path to a heart attack or a stroke, all driven just by the presence of the nicotine molecule.
Okay, so if the science is that clear that nicotine itself is the problem, then the entire industry marketing strategy of safer products seems, well, fundamentally misleading.
It is. It absolutely is. We have to stop comparing everything to a traditional cigarette, which is frankly just an incredibly effective toxin delivery system.
Right, a very low bar.
A very low bar. The consensus from the ESC, the AHA, the FDA, the WHO, I mean, every major health body is saying the same thing. No nicotine product is safe for your heart, period.
Let's dig through the products then, starting with the big one. E-cigarettes, vapes. The main claim is they have fewer carcinogens than burnt tobacco. Isn't that at least a win for your lungs?
It's a partial win for the lungs, sure, but your heart isn't in your lungs. Vapes deliver massive doses of nicotine, which we now know is the direct cardiovascular toxin. And on top of that, the aerosol isn't just water vapor. It contains toxic aldehydes and fine metal nanoparticles that leach from the heating coils.
So you're still inhaling junk.
You are. And studies confirm that chronic vaping leads to endothelial dysfunction and arterial stiffness that is comparable to that of traditional smokers. The risk profile for the heart is alarmingly similar.
What about this idea of the dual-use trap? You know, people who say they vape to try and quit smoking.
That is the loophole the industry loves. The reality is most people don't fully switch. They become dual users.
So they smoke when they can and vape when they can't.
Exactly. They just expand their nicotine exposure window. And the data shows that dual use completely wipes out any potential health benefit. The only people who see real cardiovascular recovery are the ones who quit all nicotine.
Okay, next up, heated tobacco products, HNBs. These heat tobacco but don't burn it, so they have less carbon monoxide.
It's a slightly less toxic path, but it's still a toxic one. The aerosol from HNBs still impairs endothelial function. It still increases oxidative stress.
So you're not out of the woods.
Not even close. Switching only gives you a partial, incomplete recovery. And here's a really crucial point. Passive exposure to H&B aerosol causes that same endothelial damage in non-users.
Wow.
So it's a danger to children, to partners, just like secondhand smoke.
I was surprised to see water pipes or shisha in the sources. I think most people assume the water filters everything and makes it clean.
That's a dangerously common misconception. The real issue is the sheer volume of smoke. That consensus paper notes that one 45-minute shisha session can deliver the smoke equivalent of 100 cigarettes.
100.
100. You're getting massive doses of CO, heavy metals, acrolein. Chronic use measurably increases arterial stiffness. It's a cardiovascular nightmare.
That one statistic alone should change how we regulate those places. Okay, finally, the new frontier. Oral nicotine pouches, marketed as tobacco-free.
They're smoke-free, yes, but they are absolutely not heart-safe. The nicotine gets absorbed right through the lining of your mouth.
So bypasses the lungs, but
it still causes that exact same sympathetic activation. Your blood pressure spikes, your arteries tighten. You're just trading one form of damage for another. You're taking a direct hit of vascular stress.
So what does this all mean for the future? We've got this whole landscape of new products, and the biggest worry seems to be that they're kind of on-ramp for the next generation.
It's an epidemic, and it's being fueled by innovation moving faster than regulation. The numbers are they're terrifying. In the U.S., high school vaping went from 1.5% to over 27% in 8 years.
27%.
And in Europe, nearly half of all adolescents have tried an e-cigarette by the time they're 16.
And this isn't an accident. The products themselves are designed to be addictive.
Right. Oh, this is addiction by design, 100%. Modern vapes use something called nicotine salts.
Okay.
Which is a chemical formulation that allows for a massive, rapid dose of nicotine, but with very little of that harsh throat hit you'd get from a cigarette.
So it's easier for a kid to inhale a huge amount without coughing.
Much easier. The source warns that a single e-cigarette pod can have the same amount of nicotine as 20 cigarettes.
A pack of cigarettes in one little pod.
It's engineered to be intensely addictive.
And does it actually lead them to smoking? The whole gateway argument.
It does. The longitudinal studies are consistent. Teens who start vaping are significantly more likely to start smoking combustible cigarettes within a year or two.
So it normalizes the behavior.
It normalizes nicotine use. And here's the most damning statistic for me. 75% of young adult vapers, we're talking 18 to 20 years old, had never smoked.
Wow. So these are not smokers looking for an alternative.
No, these are brand new nicotine addicts who would otherwise have been nicotine-free.
And this harm isn't just for the user. We spent decades fighting secondhand smoke. What about secondhand aerosol?
That harmless water vapor line is probably the industry's most effective lie.
It's not water.
It's not water. It's an aerosol containing nicotine, aldehydes, heavy metals, and ultrafine particles. And the key takeaway is this: passive exposure, just being near it, causes measurable endothelial dysfunction in non-users within minutes.
So if I'm sitting next to someone vaping on a restaurant patio, my actual arteries are being affected. They're tightening up.
Measurably so. Yes, your vascular function is being impaired in real time. We know secondhand smoke from cigarettes kills 1.2 million people a year. If these aerosols are causing similar acute damage,
Then we have to regulate them the same way.
it becomes a moral imperative. We have to unify smoke-free laws for all products, indoors and out, to protect everyone.
So if we connect this all back to the bigger picture, this isn't just a health crisis. It's shaping up to be a massive economic one, too.
It's a tidal wave. The global cost of tobacco use right now is estimated at over $1.4 trillion a year.
Trillion with a T.
And that's not just lung cancer treatment. It's the decades of chronic care for heart failure, for stroke recovery, for drug-resistant hypertension that this new generation of nicotine users is going to require.
Okay, so the science is clear. The consensus is there. That means we need policy to catch up.
We need binding policy leadership. Right now, the industry just exploits loopholes, different tax rates for different products, a lack of flavor restrictions. The sources lay out a very clear blueprint.
What's at the top of the list? What's priority number one to stop kids from starting?
Flavors. You have to ban all flavors. Fruit, candy, mint, everything. Flavors are the #1 driver of youth initiation. They mask the harshness and make it appealing.
An Asher flavor.
Unified taxation. You have to tax all nicotine products equally based on their nicotine content, not the device that delivers it.
So you close that loophole where heated tobacco is taxed less than a cigarette.
Exactly. You remove the financial incentive to push one toxic product over another. And you have to expand smoke-free laws.
To include everything.
Everything. Vapes, H&Bs, water pipes. They need to be included in all indoor bans. And we need to extend those bans to outdoor public spaces, playgrounds, bus stops, school zones. The passive harm data is just too strong to ignore.
And finally, what about the marketing? These products look so slick and high-tech.
That's where plain packaging comes in. Mandate it for all of these products. If the science says they're addictive cardiovascular toxins, then they should be packaged like a public health warning, not like the latest smartphone.
It's about shifting the perception from a lifestyle accessory back to a health risk.
Precisely.
What's fascinating here when you step back is how simple the core science is.
It really is. Despite this incredibly complex market with all these different gadgets, the bottom line is simple. Nicotine is a cardiovascular toxin. No delivery system is heart safe. And the real urgency is that we're seeing the impact right now in a whole new generation of young, addicted users.
The big takeaway for you, listening, is that the battlefield is completely shifted.
Yeah.
We're not just fighting smoking anymore.
No.
We're fighting nicotine addiction across a product line that is constantly changing shape. And if our regulations can't adapt faster than the industry can innovate, we're going to lose this fight.
We have to hold the line.
So here's a final thought to mull over. Considering this overwhelming evidence that chronic nicotine use, even from a pouch or a vape, impairs vascular function and promotes the hardening of your arteries, how long will it be before our health systems start treating chronic nicotine dependence, regardless of the product, with the same financial and clinical urgency as a diagnosed heart condition? Something to think about until our next deep dive.
And that's a wrap on this episode of MedDecode. I really appreciate you joining me today. If something we talked about sparked your interest, or if there's a medical term that's been bugging you, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, be a pal and share it with a friend. We'll catch you on the next one.